If you want to stay up to date with all current hip hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to become part of this community. Something that a lot of you guys were waiting for to drop is this new Trippie Redd and Playboi Carti single, Miss the Rage. And we just got an announcement from Trippie Redd that this thing is actually dropping. I want to go over the announcement, kind of go over all the snippets we've had so far, what they mean, and when this thing will eventually drop, and my own thoughts on this. So let's get straight into it. So basically there's been this snippet, this like rumored song that Trippie and Carti have had for a while now, for months now. This even dates back before A Whole Lotta Red, because they've always kind of posted snippets of them playing the song with this very, very cool kind of synthesizer chord progression, and then with just a, typical Whole Lotta Red style Carti vocals on top of it, and some Trippie singing. And a lot of people went crazy for this because that is something that could, of course, sound amazing if the two of them got on this record together. And while I didn't like that snippet too much, although I gotta say that chord progression and that synthesizer is divine, and it sounds really cool on its own. You can find a lot of like extended versions on YouTube. Just type in Miss the Rage and you'll come across something. But I was never really too much of a fan of the whole thing itself. A lot of people went crazy for this. I just never really understood the hype, but I know that a lot of you guys also are excited for this, and that's also why this announcement that we just got from Trippie is even more exciting. So let's get straight into it. What did Trippie say? Trippie took to Twitter and also to Instagram, to social media in general, to post the cover art for Miss the Rage, which is just a black screen with a white heart in the middle, which I think looks kind of cool, very ominous, very suspicious in a way. And he said MTR, so Miss the Rage, May 7th, so this Friday, which is very exciting. He announced it very kind of spontaneously. I thought that this was going to get a bigger announcement. And then he also had the pre-save link, which you can, go to and pre-save the song on your streaming service of your choice. Now, one thing I want to say is that I always thought this was going to be a whole tape. I always thought this was going to be several songs. I thought they had more songs. We've, of course, only had that one specific snippet, but also when you kind of look at the Genius page for it, I believe there were, multiple songs listed, and this thing was supposed to be a tape, and maybe we'll still get a tape, but for now, we're only getting this one song. And when you go click on the pre-save link, it'll ask you to, pre-save it on Spotify, for example, and it actually says Miss the Rage featuring Playboi Carti, so we know that this is the official version of it. Another thing that I want to go into, because I think that is connected to this release heavily as well, is a interview that Trippie gave just 2 days ago on XXL, where he talked about kind of a new wave in hip-hop and what his role in it is right now. And on there, it was really interesting because he said that Lil Uzi and Playboi Carti are the pioneers of this new change in hip-hop. And of course, that is also why he chose to collab with Carti on this new Miss the Rage single. He believes that Carti is kind of an innovator in the musical landscape in hip hop, and that a lot of music will sound like what we've heard, for example, on Whole Lotta Red. Now, if you've seen my review on Whole Lotta Red, you know that I wasn't too much of a fan of this. Not at all, to be honest. There were some highlights on there. I still listen to Sky to this day. That's also undoubtedly the biggest song off of the record so far. But the whole thing just couldn't convince me. It just seemed very, unprecise, very not concise and to the point. And it just seemed, kind of random and just not focused. That's why I didn't like it. But as I said back in that review I said maybe Carti is kind of trying to pioneer a new sound that we just have to get used to. And maybe we'll look back on Whole Lotta Red and say, oh, this was actually way better and way more important in hip-hop than we initially made it out to be. And maybe with more artists like Trippie jumping onto this wave, onto these types of instrumentals, onto these more rock-influenced beats, maybe we'll see a shift in that paradigm that we have in hip-hop as to what we consider consider the norm or what we consider to be good, but we'll have to see. I still don't want to settle on that yet, but maybe it's something to think about when we listen to this new Mr. Rage single. We've seen Trippie play around with this rock sound, of course, a lot in the past. This is something that he's been known for. He's also just dropped the deluxe edition for Pegasus called Neon Shark, which was produced by Travis Barker and featured more of a rock influenced sound that I think we're going to see a lot in hip hop in the years to come. And, you know, this new Mr. Rage single also heavily draws inspiration from that. This is more of, he even says this himself in the interview, there's more of a turn up music. He says he has some more love stuff coming soon with A Love Letter to You 5, for example, but for now that's kind of what he wants to settle on. I think it's always exciting when snippets that people have been hyping up for months before their actual release do get a release date, and we get to listen to them in their full length, because this can go either way. Either this is something that people will go crazy for and that will meet all expectations that people had, or this is something that is just not going to live up to what the snippet had promised. This scenario is also a case that can come true a lot of the times, because when you hear a snippet, there's room for imagination. You always imagine the actual song, the actual mastered song, to be better than the snippet, and if the snippet's already good, then of course in your head that snippet represents that better song. But a lot of times it's really the opposite, where that one snippet of the song is just really the highlight and it doesn't really get better from there. We've seen this happen a lot of times in the past. I hope this is not the case for Mr. Rage. I think this track could really play an important role, as I just said, with this new wave of rock / singing psychedelic type Playboi Carti music in a way. I don't know if that's a weird way to describe it, but I think you know what I mean. That Trippie has also been on for some time now on that wave. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see where they take this concept and where this will also lead in the future. The future of hip-hop and that rock influence is something that I've talked about a lot on this channel before. So I'm always interested in seeing where artists take this influence and how they spin it their own way to make it their own. So yeah. Mr. Rage, Trippie Redd, Playboi Carti is dropping this Friday, May 7th. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think this could really be an important event, an important song in that development of that sound in hip-hop? Do you think it will live up to its expectations and not just be, you know, just another snippet that never really lived up to its potential? Because this has really been hyped for a long time and by a lot of people. A lot of you guys were hyping this up as well. So I actually have my hopes up. I think this is going to do well. I'm excited to hear the whole track, hear it fully mastered, fully mixed, maybe, you know, both of their full parts. We've only heard part of what Trippie had to rap on there. And yeah, I'm excited for this. I really want to know what you think. Definitely let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media and blog down in the description. It really helps me out. Until the next one, y'all have an incredible day, and y'all take care.